Hi, family. It's Spanflower here. Hope you all are having a blessed and wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. I really appreciate it. I would like to talk about a previous discussion that I had on the channel called Education in Chicago. It was detailing a survey that was done by Robert J. Harvigers back in 1964, and it was published in a book. And I was talking about what the findings of Robert J. Harvigers was in that book. And now he was commissioned to do this by the Chicago Board of Education. Also, I referenced an article in the Chicago Defender, which was the black newspaper at that time, from that in 1964 by A.L. Foster, called the title of the article was Other People's Business, and he gave a response to the survey that was done by Robert J. Harvigers, and then A.L. Foster wrote what he felt would be needed for the schools to be able to be successful and for black communities to be successful. So you can reference that information from that previous article, is from that previous conversation. Is on the channel. But for right now, for today's exercise, I'd like to fast forward back to 2023. And firstly, let me just say, I want to give thanks to all those educators, all of those students, parents, activists, politicians, policymakers, and all of those people that work tirelessly to bring Chicago education up until to be able to help young students along and to bring some kind of equity to those students in those marginalized areas. So we give thanks to them, but we still have a lot to do in that regard, because even though there has been a lot of work done, there still is a lot of more work that needs to be done 50 years later. So we want to talk about some of those things. Now, back in 1964, we know the demographics of the city. There was a large white population, and then you had the up-and-coming black population in the city. So now in 2023, the demographics have totally changed, because the white population has decreased. The black population is decreasing, but the Hispanic population has increased. So you have about 45% white, about 28% black, and then about 27% Hispanic. And then you have the other groups of the Asians and Indian groups that may total out the rest of the percentages. So the demographics in the city have certainly changed, but the economic disparities in the communities based on zip codes have not. They have made some improvements, but more needs to be made. So there's another underlying issue that has popped up in this 2023 year, because Chicago is a sanctuary city. That means that they are welcoming of migrants, they're welcoming of illegal immigrants, they're welcoming of refugees, asylum seekers, and those groups that come into the city. And so the city welcomes them and tries to accommodate them. But there has been a huge influx of those populations coming into the city, and they've been, for all intents and purposes, placed in areas that are already economically struggling. And so that has caused some kind of issues within the communities. And I could just speak to the black communities in the city that have experienced the influx of the migrants, and what does that mean to the school system? What does that mean to the programs that we're trying to get instituted that we never really had a balance in since 1964? So what does that mean? Does it mean that they're going to put more money into ESL, or English as a secondary language course, because you have the population that's coming in that doesn't speak English? What does that mean for the learning challenged, or what they used to say disabled, and I don't like that word, so I'll just stick to learning challenged? Does that mean they're going to get less money? What does that mean for all the extracurricular activities that the school used to offer when I was in school? We had art classes, we had dance classes, we had all types of extracurricular activities and activities that we could do inside the school. So it's more robust, and I don't know how that's going to shake out. So I had talked about the new mayor, Brandon Johnson. He just got into office in May, and so he has they're going through their policy makeup right now. So I know for a fact that the city of Chicago has had these budgetary meetings and these meetings to try to get their budgets together. They had them yesterday and today. So I think they do have until September to actually present their budgets. So I don't know exactly what is in the budget at this point in time, and I don't know if they, I mean, you hear a little drip, 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 but I would rather wait to see what the budget actually is, and it, so that it's finalized before I make a say, hey, look, I don't like this, I don't want this, I don't want that. So I don't want to do that, because that's when you make mistakes. So I prefer to read an actually finished budget, then I can see specifically what it is for the educational piece, and then go from there. So I it's just so much going on in the city of Chicago. And it's some good things going on in the city too. We don't want to take away, everything in the city is not bad. We don't want to take away from those families that do what they're supposed to do, the kids that go to school, that pay attention to the laws, that do what they need to do, that are active and good citizens in the community. We're not talking about those citizens. We know we have them here, and there's a large population of them, and they were out in full force last week at the Beyonce concert, and they'll be over there at White Sox Park today for the crosstown country matchup between the Chicago Cubs and White Sox. So we have a very good population of mother, fathers, children, grandparents, and that live in these communities that care. But we also have some in our community that need help, and we want to make sure that the funds that are being allocated in this new budget go to help those communities that have been suffering the most. And since Black people have been dealing with this underservice as far as the schools and the community since 1964, we want to see that be reconciled. We don't want to continue to have to go behind and wait behind for the city to do this, and this. No, put the agenda items on the plate so that the Black people in those communities that have been struggling can see that there's a caring, a level of care for them, and then we can do whatever we need to do afterwards. But we definitely want to make sure that Black people, I'll just say Black people, are getting what they should get from the city, since they all are always the ones that suffer the most in the city when they come to funding and all of those things like that. So I just wanted to finish up on that conversation, and I wanted to offer up a solution, because anytime I say something or talk about a problem, I want to be able to present a solution. And for this school year, I had said it once before, there are students that go to schools that are not in stable families, that go through all kind of traumatic situations over the weekends and during the course of the day, where they are forced to be in a adult-like setting or adult-like situations, and then when they come back to school the next day or that Monday morning, then they have to be morphed back into a child. I don't think that and they deal with so much stuff that any person in a normal setting would need therapy, but these kids are just forced to adjust and move on, and then, it's nothing to see here, but they don't ever get their emotional needs addressed. So my thing is, first of all, the kids, they need to have counselors, more counselors in the schools, especially on Mondays and Fridays, because Mondays is the first day the kids are back to school if they have a traumatic household that they're coming from, and Fridays is the first day of the weekend when they're not going to be in school for the next couple of days. So they may need to be able to talk to someone to help them along in their situation. Secondly, I do believe that I would like to see them bring back civics in the schools, because a lot of this the youthful vigor, I would say, out here in the streets is because people don't really understand what these laws are. We're a country of laws. If you break the law, then you more than likely gonna be involved in some type of law, legal situation. So it would be helpful, since our communities are targeted. Some people say our communities are over policed, or whatever you want to say, that these kids are equipped to be able to know what their rights are and know what they should and shouldn't be doing before they get out there and turn 18 years old. That's the most importantly. And thirdly, they need to have parenting classes, because some people, what if you didn't have a mom and dad, or what if your mom and dad is not home, or whatever the situation is. Some of these things can be presented back to the public, so that, or to in the school, so that the kids can have a chance, because it's a lot cheaper to teach a kid in school than try to house them in prison or have to send them through the legal system. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to put these kids on the right step. And lastly, I'd like to say the mental health aspect of what these traumatic experiences that these kids have gone through. They need to have something that can balance that out. Because a lot of these times the kids are acting out because they're emotionally damaged and distressed based on what they've seen and what they're going through. It's so hard to, as someone say, put that back in the bottle once it's out. So we have to do all that we can to make sure that the kids have a fighting chance. And so these are some of the things that I think might be helpful to the students. And I hope that our mayor, Brandon Johnson, can get a budget together and put it together so that it'll be helpful for the kids, for the community, and all of that. So I want to give him a chance to see if he can turn this situation around in the city, and I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that that can happen. So it's just a few things that we need to do, and I want to do my part to help as well. So I'm going to table the conversation on the school for right now until I can see a budget, until the school starts back, so I can see how the school year starting out, and then I can make a more informed decision about what needs to happen, because I'm just looking at it as a clean slate, and let's just give everybody the opportunity to see what they can do. And so I'm hopeful that maybe some of these things that I've suggested might be able to help. So if you think so, post a comment on this discussion. If you like what you see on the page, subscribe, comment, share, and I really appreciate that. But this school piece is important to me. Like I said, anything that goes on in the community that I live in that affects the youth, that affects me, I want to make sure that I'm putting it on the page so that people can know, or on the channel I would say, so that people will know, hey, listen, it's somebody out there that cares. It's a space where they can come to get information. This is a safe zone. This is a positive zone. We don't want to browbeat people to death on this channel, but we want to hear views that can be helpful to the citizens and to our society as a whole. So I thank you so much for tuning in. You all have a blessed and wonderful day, and make sure you share this conversation. And if you have other things that you want to talk about, send me a message. I'll make sure to get it on the channel for you. Okay, thank you. Have a great day.